Hello, welcome to Marxisms. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you've never been here before, welcome. Please like and subscribe, but do not turn on notifications. That is annoying as hell. I never turn on notifications, so I would never ask you to do the same. That's the last thing you want. We get enough of that crap on our phones. We don't need to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry's posts pop up every time. You can just come back on your own and come and look if you want to. I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask you that. I wouldn't do it. So anyway, another interesting couple of days in politics in the world. Some sad news, of course, about the India flight. I guess there's one survivor, which man, that's got to be amazing. I don't know how badly injured they are or anything like that. I haven't heard yet, but boy, talk about thinking you have that you're here for a reason. You're the only one out of over 240 people that survived. That's got to be crazy. Unfortunately, it was a Boeing jet. I don't know how well it was maintained and all that stuff, but it's not a good look for Boeing having all these crashes. Anyway, that aside, Trump did a little speech using the 82nd Airborne as his backdrop, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that per se. Many presidents have done this, from Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, I believe Clinton and Obama and Biden have all done it. It's not a big deal. The difference this time is that he vetted the troops for loyalty, and he also there was certain criteria that you had to have. They had to look a certain way. Uh, One of the things is they all had to be male, and or mostly anyway. I think there was might have been a couple females in there, but that was one of the things they wanted, mostly men, and nobody was allowed to be fat. I don't believe that there was any racial qualifications there. I did see African Americans and stuff like that in the background, so thank God for that at least. Thank God for small favors. But anyway, it's really kind of disgusting. Here we're starting to He's starting to politicize the military, which is not what you do. Anytime you've ever watched a speech from another president, they're stone faced. No one applauds. They're not allowed to. They're supposed to be nonpartisan. The military is for the American people, not for the Republicans or Democrats. But Trump, being the authoritarian that he is, he wants to have everybody loyal to him. He demands loyalty. That's why he's picked a cabinet that has zero qualifications. They're all actually morons, and they're all in over their heads, and they're all just playing government. They have no idea how government's supposed to work. They don't understand the Constitution. They've probably never even read it, and if they have, they've never read the Federalist Papers or any of the other supporting documents. In fact, Pete Hegseth, who was completely over his head and running the Pentagon into the ground, has was grilled by Congress this week, and he could not answer questions as to the legality of the deployments. And the reason is because he doesn't know. He has no idea. I would think if I did an action like that, I would want to know exactly, especially if somebody was going to ask me, especially knowing that somebody was going to ask me, that I would at least look it up and find out that, okay, it's under this provision or this deal, or it says this in the Constitution, whatever, federal code, blah, 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 whatever. But not Pete. He's just too stupid to even come prepared. And this is the idiot that's running our Pentagon. It's disgusting. The man's over his head. He doesn't know shit. And speaking of people not knowing shit, most of MAGA. So this Florida roofer who, big Trump supporter, voted for Trump, big MAGA dude. And it's just this couples on what I was saying the other day. He loses most of his workforce. He's got a roofing company in Florida. He loses most of his workforce to ICE. They're on their way to a job. They get pulled over and they all get arrested, and it's just, and he's shocked and upset. It's like, what? We've been telling you this kind of stuff forever, but you all told us we were crazy, we're paranoid, and then we suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, Trump derangement syndrome isn't a thing. It's called understanding that Trump is an authoritarian and he's going to take away your liberty and that he's going to do things that you don't like. Um, Sorry you didn't figure that out before you voted for him. But it's kind of funny because Republicans have been using illegals forever to do their work for them so that they could, because they're good capitalists and they want to make money in their business. So they pay shit wages. And, a lot of times white people, Americans, well, Americans won't, not just white people, but Americans per se won't work for those wages. So they hire illegals to do it. Um, I believe in if I hired an illegal, I would pay him a decent wage just because that's the humane thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Um, I don't, I mean, I've had him ask me to help me do work and stuff like that. And I've just always declined. I'm not going to do it because it's against the law for one. So now Trump is going to crack down on employees. Well, that's going to be a lot of Republicans that he cracks down on, and he's going to have them pissed off at him. So we'll see how that works out for him. But it's just really it's kind of funny. These guys are absolute hypocrites. It's like I said the other day. They will hire illegals every day to make a buck or to save a buck. But then they want them all out of the country with their stupid claims of them getting benefits and um, all this other stuff and voting, which none of which is true. None of which is true. And if anybody were to investigate that outside of a Facebook meme, you would find that it isn't true. But unfortunately, that's the education system in this country. What does the meme on Facebook say? I mean, I know people. I know this guy from Idaho. He knows who he is, Randy. Everything he posts on his page is just some meme, and it's all fake news. It's hilarious. It's things that have been vetted a long time ago, and all he would really have to do is look it up. But he's just too lazy and stupid to do that. So yeah, that's a shout out to you, Randy. You know who the fuck you are. Anyway, let's see what else happened to DeSantis says that it's okay for Floridians to run over protesters. Really? Excuse me. So now Republicans are advocating for murdering people for protesting. That's really sweet because protesting is in the Constitution. Remember, First Amendment and all that stuff. See, that's what I'm saying. Republicans, they have no concept of the Constitution, something they've been harping about forever. They don't know what it says. They don't know what it means. They don't really care. They just they hate minorities. They hate liberals. They hate gay people. They're bigots. It's just that simple. Ron DeSantis is just another bigot like Hedge Seth and Nomi, the dog killer, and Trump himself. Of course, they're just bigots. It's just that simple. Um, so let's see what else. Trump's job approval, 38%. That's pretty low. That's almost as low as his total on his first term. His first term, I think, was 34%, which is tied for third. Only Truman and Nixon had lower approval ratings than Trump did in his first term. And he's not doing that much better this time. Even Biden's was 40, and that's the total for all 4 years. That was his total. The only He's actually tied with let's see, no, yeah, was it George W. Bush? Maybe it was, and Jimmy Carter. Who was it? Let's see, Jimmy. Oh no, Truman. Yeah, yeah. No, it was George W. Bush and Jimmy Carter. Truman and Nixon had lower approval ratings. The only two presidents in modern time that had lower approval rating than Trump. And now at 38%, that's not much greater than the 34 he had last time. And he's still not done fucking this country up. So who knows? He may even beat Nixon at 25%. Let's hope. So so Carolyn Levitt. I mean, this woman has got to be the biggest moron in the world or the most adept liar. I mean, I have never seen somebody that can prevaricate like her. She got mad at this reporter for asking about, does Trump allow uh, will Trump allow peaceful protests? Of course, Trump allows peaceful protests. That's a stupid question. And then of course goes on to talk about how these people are lawless and they're violent, and we're not going to tolerate that. Again, I'm going to have to point out January 6th, 2020, a riot, an insurrection that Trump himself orchestrated, and then pardoned the violent rioters who are trying to overthrow the government on his behalf. Yeah, so it's just this woman. I don't know how she can keep a straight face. I don't know how she can say this stuff without giggling. It's amazing to me. Um, it's crazy, but yeah. Okay, yeah. In other news, looks like they might be canceling the big birthday bash, the big military parade that Trump is having for his birthday, like all dictators do. Um, it seems that because of the protests and lack of interest in anybody actually supporting it, I guess like most of the Republicans in Congress aren't even going to go to it. I think they're embarrassed and they just don't want to say it because they're fucking spineless, and they're afraid of making Trumpy poo mad. So they're saying that, oh, there might be thunder and lightning, so we're going to cancel it. Um, so what basically he's saying is that the military is they're too big of pussies to be in a thunder and lightning storm. I don't think that's the case. They've been in a lot. They fight wars in all kinds of weather. I'm pretty sure they could suffer through a parade in the rain or thunder and lightning. Uh, it's an excuse. It's an excuse because nobody's going to be there except for protesters. So once again, another fail. And so now we've spent millions of dollars assembling all of these tanks and missiles and troops and everything in Washington for this military parade, and he's just going to cancel it, which is good because at least it's going to save the streets, and we're not going to have to spend those millions of dollars. It's just unbelievable what this guy is doing. And Republicans are now calling on their MAGA sycophants to boycott Walmart because one of the heiresses to Walmart has come out in favor of the protests and against MAGA. And so now they're asking that people stop shopping at Walmart. Well, I'm going to start. If that's the case, I'm definitely gonna start shopping at Walmart. Yeah, so a church leaders are being shaken after ICE is arresting people in their parking lots. The LAP or the LA education or Department of Education. No, what is it? The school board, I guess. The LA school board. See, I guess they have their own police department because it's such a big thing and whatever. A lot of it's a can be a dangerous place sometimes. Any big city. So they've actually instructed their police officers for graduation, they're assembling them for graduations, and they're instructing them to keep all federal employees or like ICE and stuff away from these gatherings and away from the summer school. So they've had to call the police on the government to keep their children safe and the parents of their children because of overreaching thuggery from Trump. So LA is now deploying some police forces against ICE, which is the way it should be. That's what uh, Gavin Newsom should have done. Is he should have deployed the National Guard against Trump's ICE members in the first place. This is exactly what should have happened. They shouldn't be deployed against the citizens like they're being. What's happening is Trump is basically using the military against American citizens because he's too much of a pussy, if you'll excuse the term, to fight Putin. He's too busy kissing Putin's ass and doing Putin's bidding to actually help Ukraine, our ally. but instead, to show his strength in his cowardly way, is sending troops against American citizens. But are you surprised? If you are, you probably voted for this idiot. But if you're not surprised, like the rest of us, like smart people, you knew this was coming. I'll read the news to my girlfriend in the morning, and she'll go, "Yeah, I'm shocked." Totally deadpan. It's like, yeah, no, we all knew this was going to happen. Yeah. So anyway, it's a crazy world. It's a crazy country we're living in. We're the laughing stock of the world, thanks to Donald J. Trump. We actually gained back some credibility and respect under Biden after Trump's first term, but now we're once again the laughing stock of the world. I talk to people from other countries, and they're just like, "How are Americans so stupid?" I don't know. They're uneducated. They don't know their history. Other people, Europeans are, they pretty much know their history and stuff like that. And Americans are uneducated. We're propagandized, is what we are in school. Um, there's in a lot of ways. It's kind of sad, but that's where we are until people get educated and wise up. I guess this is gonna kind of stuff's gonna continue. Plus, it's the bigotry and the hatred of other people. I want to do this. I started to do a video the other day that I was going to post on how I'll kind of go over it right now. Why not? On why America is great. See, everybody thinks that America is great because of its because we have diversity. Yeah, that's a good thing, definitely. Because we have freedom. Yes, absolutely, that definitely helps. And because the American people are just better than everybody else. Well, we are everybody else. We're a conglomeration of everybody else in the world. There was no such thing as an American, 300 years ago. It was just, there was some colonists from various countries here, Britain, Holland, Spain, whatnot. So we are everybody else. So we're not better than everybody else. What actually really happened was in the beginning, we uh, uh, we inherited a nation uh, and technology from Europe, which is close to, has the Mediterranean there, and it's close to the crossroads, which was the Middle East. That was the crossroads of the world, and so all the information came through those crossroads from India and China and North Africa and whatnot, and all of that information and technology ends up in Europe, and then of course we have the Industrial Revolution, and then we come over to this and find this country here, and then America ends up coming out of the British colonies. Obviously, we all know, but there's some geographic features that this continent happens to have that was instrumental in our being great. These are things that no other country in the world has. Partially, we have more coastline um, than Africa. If you look at Africa on a map and compare it to the United States, you go, wait a minute, how's that possible? Africa is huge. But we have all these little inlets and rivers and bays and things like that that are incredibly perfect for commerce and trade. We have the intercoastal waterways, the intercoastal waterways. We have a series of barrier islands that run all the way down the East Coast, around Florida, and then along the Gulf coast of Mexico. And what they do is they're able to protect shipping from the ocean, and so it makes it really easy to pass goods around. And then, of course, we've taken steps to create more of that because we realize, oh, this is a really good thing because we can actually ship stuff without going out on the open ocean, which is way safer and cheaper. And then once we acquired the Louisiana Purchase from France, the lands that were called Louisiana at the time, which encompasses all of the Great Basin, which is great for growing food and stuff. I mean, it's perfect. The drier areas in the east up against the Rockies are really good for wheat, and then the more humid are good for like soybeans and other stuff. And then, of course, all the various industry we would have in there as well, because the cities are being built and built pretty easily around these navigable rivers. We have the longest navigable river in the world, and that's called the Mississippi River. You can actually sail all the way up to from Louisiana and the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to St. Paul, Minnesota. Um, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. I believe that's how they refer to it. But anyway, and then all the tributaries off of there. I mean, all the way to Shreveport on the Red River, and you have the Missouri, and you have all these rivers that flow into it, and most of them are navigable. And so you can actually take goods from the inner part of our country and ship it down these rivers to the ocean, and then to the East Coast and to the world. It's amazing. No other country has anything even remotely close to that, and that has made it made us able to transport goods practically for free, which no other country has. They have to get it to the coast somehow, if they even have a coast, and then of course we end up getting the West Coast as well after we stole it from Mexico. Um, by pretending to fight, pretending they did something wrong and starting a war with them, which is exactly what happened. And so we end up getting California and Oregon and Washington. So we have the three best deep water ports in the world: the Chesapeake Bay, Puget Sound, and San Francisco Bay, plus a lot of other smaller, minor ones throughout the East Coast and on the West Coast. But these made it and then also we have it's like the Sacramento River and the Delta and everything. Stockton is I think 68 miles inland, and is a port city. I mean, the same is true if you look at Puget Sound. You can go pretty far inland. I don't know how many miles it is, but you can go pretty far inland. The Columbia River, so we can transport goods down these rivers and up them, uh, and easily reach the oceans. The Great Lakes, with once the 20th century hit and we had the technology to build canals and things like that, we were able to connect all of the Great Lakes to the ocean and to the Mississippi River. It's it's just incredible what we can do. Um, uh, if anybody's been to the Sioux Fall, Sioux Locks uh, on the border of Michigan and Canada on the Upper Peninsula, I have. I used to spend my summers in Michigan as a kid. Well, when I was 11 years old, I watched Edmund Fitzgerald go through the Sioux Locks, in which just cutting a short distance through and building these locks through a short distance of land, we're able to connect the Lake Superior to the ocean and all the other Great Lakes. So that's another one of those aspects. And then also, I think Lake Michigan, they have some canals that connect to the Mississippi as well, like from Chicago. So all the major cities in the world, we can easily move goods from and to the ocean. It's just like no other country. And then plus we have the geology here too. I mean, there's just such rich in minerals and ability to grow things, and California Central Valley, the Great Base, or the plains, the plain states and everything. It's just it's unbelievable. And if you look, you could look on Google Earth, and you will not find this anywhere else in the world. No one else has this ability, and that is the biggest reason why America is as prosperous as it is today. It has nothing to do with Americans being greater than everybody else. That's a prejudice that we bring with us when we go other places in the world. That's why they've coined the term "the ugly American," because we have this kind of ignorant superiority complex. We're not better than anybody else. We're in fact made up of everybody else. We're not better than everybody else, and we need to stop thinking like that. It's kind of like Christianity in a way, and I'm not here to bash Christians per se, but because I know a lot of people that are very good Christians, but the belief that the only way is through Jesus Christ, has created a type of prejudice that Americans seem to have, and other Christians. I mean, Europe had it as well. Um, but it's similar to how we feel about America. We have this false belief, and I believe that the Christian belief that the only way is through Jesus is definitely a false belief. Why would God create a world of people that He loves, some of which He never are born outside of any knowledge of Jesus, and in a different family than not a Christian family, and then say, "Oh, well, if you don't know Jesus, you're condemned to death, to die in eternal hell." That just doesn't make sense. It's just silly. Same with the idea that Americans are better than everybody else because we're so prosperous. It's a false dichotomy. It just isn't true. We were just lucky enough to have the geography that we do. Anyway, so I might do a further video on that someday, and throw up some maps and all that kind of crap. But use Google Earth. I actually did it the other day, but then I was having trouble with what I thought was my camera turning off, but it turned out to be um, my media player. I'm trying to replay it and the camera freezes. Well, it was Media Player Legacy, which doesn't work really well. So I downloaded a new, just regular media player, and it works fine. So I'd already deleted that video kind of in disgust, but it was actually probably fine. Oh well, maybe I'll do it again. Anyway, like and subscribe, but don't do notifications because that's annoying as hell. And I'll see you next time, probably in a day or two, probably tomorrow. Peace out.